Hello everyone, Mr. Bean35000VR here, and this is another video about the unused mission mode in Mario Kart Wii. I've been doing a lot of research since the last mission mode video, and I want to show off some of my findings. So first of all, I have now discovered all of the objectives inside of the game, and I want to show them all off to you. This first objective that you see here, you need to get as many mini-turbos as you can inside the time limit using manual drift. The aim of the game is to get the specified number of mini-turbos before the time runs out, and if you can do that, then you win this mode. This next mode that you see here is a VS race mode. This is also the next mode up. Mode 2 also seems to be a VS mode. It seems to be identical to mode 1. This is just useful for anything that requires you to drive a certain number of laps around a track. It's also useful, as you can see here, for things like the Dry Bowser Fireball tournament, which I brought into mission mode for this video, as well as other races against CPUs. It's worth noting that no matter what, even if there are no CPUs, the position tracker is always on the screen, so this mode is not particularly useful for racing against things like the Giant Wiggler on Warrior's Gold Mine, but there doesn't seem to be a mode that's suitable for that, so there's not an awful lot we can do. This next mode, Mode 3, is a slightly faulty mode which gives you points every time you do a manual drift. However, it does it way too quickly, so your score just kind of skyrockets upwards at the speed of sound, and yeah, before you know it, it's all over. It's clearly not quite coded correctly, so I don't think this one's going to be particularly useful. And this next mode here has you going around driving through item boxes. You are required to get a certain number of item boxes within the time limit. In Mario Kart DS, this was used in a lot of different scenarios. In some scenarios they had you picking out real item boxes from fake item boxes, or like in this demonstration mission here, chasing item boxes around that are trying to evade you. And this is actually remarkably fun. And this is a concept that was not employed at all in tournament mode, so this is one of the mission mode exclusives. This next one here is mode 5. In this one you are required to beat up enemies or stage hazards, such as these crabs that you can see here. Every time you hit an enemy with an item, you get a point. It doesn't seem to matter what item you hit them with. And you are aiming to get a certain amount in the time limit. This next one, Mode 6, is, well, it awards you points for hitting bosses. So first of all, as you can see here, I've got the spiky top men of Galaxy Arena. These guys all give you 1 point whenever they are knocked off. This is another tournament that I ported for the purpose of demonstrating here. This mode is not exclusively designed for topmen like I originally thought. It can also be used in other boss fights, such as this one here, the giant Pokey battle. In this one, every time you attack the Pokey with the bombs, this is also mode 6, you will score. So this just seems to be a general purpose beat the bosses one, which is kind of cool. I don't know if there were any more bosses than this in Mario Kart Wii tournaments, but if there are, I certainly need to go and test this mode with them as well. Now, Mode 7 is not used. It's not referenced in the code at all, so we skip over that one, because it doesn't exist. This one is Mode 8. In this one you are aiming to gather coins. Simple enough. You just need to drive around and gather all the coins within the time limit, and once you've done that, you win. I've seen this one in tournaments many times, it's not very exciting. And this next one, Mode 9, has you gathering gates. Once again, another tournament one, and another tournament demonstration indeed. You need to get as many gates as you can. Well, actually, you need to get all of the gates in order before the time runs out. And if you can do that, you are a winner. Now, this rather stupid mode lets you win when you do a boost start. And if you don't get a boost start, you can't win. This is the best mode, confirmed. This next mode over here is quite an amusing one. In this one you are aiming to beat up CPU racers, basically, but you can only use certain items to do it, such as green shells, red shells, bombs. I think it's just about any projectile, but anything that attacks physically, such as mega mushrooms or stars, doesn't seem to score. So it's all about sniping opposition with items that you can throw at them, which is kind of interesting. And yeah, I've had fun with this one. I made this little free-for-all stage on Swamp Desert, featuring Bowser versus Peach and 10 Toads, and you gotta hit everyone 40 times in 3 minutes, and that's actually remarkably tricky thanks to the Thwomp sending you flying around the arena at all angles and all times. So, yeah. this one could be used for very interesting things. And then here we have mode C, which is another faulty mode. This one gives you points every time you do a wheelie, but like the drift one that I demonstrated before, this one is far too fast, and therefore not useful. And yeah, the rate of point increase is ridiculous. The score here, the score requirement is actually set to 65,535. You can only see 35 because it doesn't have enough digits for that. But I'm able to get that easily within like 40 seconds, so that's ridiculous. It's clearly not working correctly. And then this final mode that we have here is Slipstreams. The aim of the game is to slipstream against a CPU racer. Or I assume that's what they intended it to be used for, but it's also slightly miscoded because I haven't got this to show you here, but if the CPU slipstreams you, that also scores. Or if you've got a lot of CPUs, if everybody slipstreams each other, there's just a point every time a slipstream happens. But yeah, that's all of the modes that I have to show. That's all of the modes that Mission Mode has. So I hope you found those pretty interesting. And now I'm going to be taking you back to the menus so we can, so I can show off what we've discovered about those. Okay, so the first thing you'll probably notice right away from looking at my single player menu, it's got more buttons than usual. That's because, well, wouldn't you know it, a Mission Mode button actually does exist. It's in the files. It was pointed out to me by Atlas, so thank you to him. That there seem to be 5 buttons on this single player screen. This missions button was originally embedded in the battle button. I've slightly rearranged this screen, but a quick code tweak on Mario Kart can make this 5th button load. Now, like everything else to do with Mission Mode, it didn't have text originally when I found it, so I've added this text and I've added the little subtext at the bottom. And I had to shift all these buttons up because it wouldn't fit otherwise. It still doesn't really fit, however. Yes, and this button, if you click it, does exactly what it says on the tin, as long as you've got all of these screens loaded. Just rendering the button is not actually enough to get you into the menus. Next of all, well, things have changed a little around here. None of this text is official. I filled all of this in myself. But it gives you a bit of a better idea of what this screen is meant to look like properly. Now, you may notice as well that the level text on the left is now red. Now, it's not meant to be, in the previous video it was black, and it's not meant to be pure red either. The red is approximately the colour that the level 8 button would be. But in reality, what's actually supposed to happen, again thanks to Atlas for this one, is that the lower number levels are meant to be closer to yellow, and it's meant to form a little smooth transition starting at yellow, gradually becoming more and more red as you get higher through the levels. So that would have been interesting, but we can't. But so far we haven't managed to get that one to work. So all we've managed to do is get the red working. But I suppose that's better than nothing. Now, as for these green question marks, these are meant to be kind of like a world level number. Again, thanks to Atlas for this one. They are meant to say just basically 1 1 1 2 1 3 etc. 2 1 2 2 blah 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 blah, meaning that absolutely the text that's on the right would just be the name of a mission, because there's no point in repeating ourselves, if you see what I mean. There's no point in us putting like 1 1 or just mission 1 1 or something. You know what I'm saying. Basically, the green text would have been telling us what the level number was, and then the right side would have been an objective. Now, we have also formally confirmed that this button is indeed a tutorial button. And the way we found this out, this is thanks to Chadderz. He found a bunch of strings in memory that reference a bunch of deleted movie clips from the game. Now, I have managed to, well, I haven't found them, they don't exist, but I've inserted movie clips. And now we can see that indeed this screen is meant to have a movie clip on it, not a still image. And these are all meant to be tutorials, because all of these movie clips go into the tutorial folder. Furthermore, they all from the strings that we saw in memory, we can kind of guess what these tutorials were meant to be about, because while the videos themselves have been lost to the ages, their file names have not, and you can see those on your screen now. And you can see it covers a wide range of things, from just presumably turning your vehicle, to doing drifts, to turning on the spot, interestingly, to doing wheelies, to doing start boosts, to doing respawn boosts, and all that good stuff. Now, as you can see, that does not match up at all with the pure objectives of the mode. So these were most likely just meant to be supplementary information, kind of like the mission mode would also kind of teach you how to play the game as it went along, and presumably the tutorials would thin out as you got later into the levels. So that's all jolly interesting. And now we've got a bit more information as well, because indeed, as you can see here, I've labelled steering tutorial quite clearly, and on 1.2 it has a mini turbo tutorial. Now, this is accurate according to what the game is trying to do right now. The movie clip that's loaded seems to be based on the text ID. Now I've got replaced text right now, but basically these buttons were text ID 3900 and X, basically. Now X refers to whatever tutorial it's meant to be displaying. So for instance, in the case of, I believe this one, it was just 3900, and so X would be 0, therefore the tutorial that's going to be displayed is the first one, which is the steering tutorial. But that also reveals some contradictions, because right here we've got a mini turbo tutorial associated with a mission that only has automatic drift. So something is wrong. Somewhere along the line, something has gone wrong. Either the file format is just nonsense, or they were just testing things, or it's corrupted somehow and doesn't work correctly anymore. Either way, one of these two specifications is wrong. Either the drift restriction of the mission, or the tutorial that the mission was supposed to have. So it's hard to say what Nintendo was actually intending. And I will now post up onto the screen just briefly. I went through everything, and here is what drift types have what tutorial, or what levels have what tutorial. And as you can see, there are a few entries that absolutely do not make sense. That's interesting enough. Yeah, I believe that's all I have to cover on the menus. It's all minor stuff. Now I have released at this point the code to access mission mode, and you can go and get that off the custom track wiki. I don't want to try to post it on this video because it's far too long. But with this, and it contains a full specification on how to build the missing mission parameters file, among other things, and then you can try making your own missions. And I already know that Wexos has been making his own, and I hope to see a lot of other people making their own too. He was also the one who managed to fix this button that has OK on it. Formerly did not have text. And I was right, the game wasn't trying to draw text to it, he had to add a text entry to this button. And yeah, now it looks pretty good. So, all in all, I think, would you agree that this menu is starting to look pretty nice? Now, if you can just fix the black text here, and get these green question mark blocks working as they're meant to, then it actually looked pretty swish. And I imagine these yellow-black backgrounds are probably meant to be movie clips. We still need to work out what they would be, or what they're meant to be, and what not. Yeah, I think that's all I want to cover for today. So, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I hope to see some custom missions coming up from people. I will probably be posting some of my own, because I made a lot of stuff for this video, as you saw earlier on. There were some tournament ports, but there were also some things that I made, so why don't I may as well put them out there, right? Yeah, so that's about the lot. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all again soon.